Evening, everyone. Welcome to E2E Network's webinar on generative AI and data-driven solutions for everyday use cases. I'm Uzma, and I'll be your host for today. Today, we have Paulina here, who will be taking us through Scavenger. So, on to you. Over to you.
Yep, so word to me. My name is Paulina. I'm working at Scavenger as a part of a data science team. And I hope that today's webinar will be both enjoyable for you, because for me, I'm sure that I'll be happy to present. And it's nice to hear about you guys. Yeah. Please let me know if there will be any questions regarding the presentation. I think that I'll be able to see them in the chat. But in case I won't notice them, let me know, okay? Yep. Should I start, or is there some...
Yes, you can start.
Okay. I think today I'm here to tell a bit about Scavenger and the daily use cases for the generative AI that we kind of try to tackle. And I think the discussion will be mainly about what other possible use cases are to be in the future, and which are already tackled. So let me please share the screen. Yep. Is it visible? Hope so.
Yes,
yeah. So basically, the main idea of Scavenger is that we take any data, whatever pronounce you'd like, and we do something with it. So we either transform it into some insights, answer questions based on the data, or we work with it, we pre-process it, and we are able to take something from it. If you think of a word AI, when I was preparing, I learned that I is part of I think it's a three-thumbed sloth, or another very weird animal which slowly moves. And the similar thing with scavenger, if you know that in English, it's an animal that kind of eats rotten flesh. But to me, there's another approach to that. I assume that scavenger is something that works with resources that have not been used by someone else, and especially with the data for large companies, if they have a lot of, say, tables, if they have a lot of PDFs, if they have a lot of files that they've collected throughout the years, I think it's not a garbage. It's not something that cannot be used, but it's a resource from which we can take some insights and improve together the business processes and do something with that. Yep. So in terms of data analytics, the main, say, bottleneck is the speed and how quickly something grows. And in terms of loads of data, I think if someone have already worked with datasets, or if someone has done something with, say, tables, or you can see how tedious this work can be. So assume you have a lot of tables, a lot of those folders, and you have very little time and very little resources, and you have to do something with that, right? And you have to analyze it, and you have to make decisions from it. So we in Scavenger, our idea is that we do it for you, and we take this data and we take those, say, I don't know, tables with 1,000 rows, not like 1,000 is fine, say 100,000 rows and 1,000 columns. And instead of you analyzing it, we analyze it for you, and we drive some insights from that. So basically, say, business problems that we are addressing are varying between data cleaning and pre-processing the data sets that we take, to answering questions based on some linear problems and based on some issues that can occur with the data set that we are provided. Say, for example, I don't know, we are given a folder with I don't know, sales, and we have to analyze it to answer the question, what is the best to improve the sales, or how, say, the price and variables that we have. And it's both. Yeah. In terms of interpretations, it's also a part which can be tricky, because when you do something automatically, it's not like a real person has his real eye on the thing with his real experience and judgments, but it's something you have to think of before when you're designing a system that will do it for this person. When you're doing something that should automatically work in general, we try to think of all the possible outcomes and build a system that will say, okay, if say the row of the data set is unclear, do that or do this, and yada yada. Yep, and I think I have a demonstration for you. It will be a bit later. I'll chat a bit more. And the main idea, I think, is the business recommendation. Like, what can you do better for your business based on whatever you provide to us, right? And yeah, it's we're designing an AI platform, which, as I mentioned, transforms the data that we have into those insights and provides the value that we can do. The main idea is that we have 3 proprietary AI tools. The first one is data cleaning. I'm working on that currently, on the improvement of that part. So in case you have any questions, I'm your person here to answer. And we also have the statistics part, which gives the, say, overall understanding of what we're given, overall understanding of results, of the, say, skewness of data, of the how are things distributed over the plot or something like that. Like everything you can do yourself when you do the data, most general things we're tackling. Yeah. And also we have this, say, interpretation agent, which gives the recommendations based on the data set that we work with. Yeah. I think the most important thing for me would be to show the demo. Let me just stop my screen sharing and move it to another place. Sorry for a bit of incomprehensiveness. Yep. It will be a video recording. So I'll later, if we have some time, maybe show the demo what I'm currently doing, if anyone would be interested. Yeah, but here's the video how it works. You kind of give the data set that you is it visible? Is it working well? I'll stop it.
If there's an audio, we can't hear the audio to the video.
There's no need for an audio. I'll be your audio and say what's going on. Yeah.
Yes.
So just I'll stop partially and explain what's going on, because I know if I'd be doing it myself and turning all the pages, I may have, I don't know, it would be a bit more time consuming, guys. So yeah, that's how the outlet looks. You choose a CSV or Excel sheet to be analyzed. Pretty simple, right? Everyone has seen CSVs and all that. You drag it and drop the file, so the user has dropped the file. And then, as you can see, it loads. You can see the preview of the data so that the user is sure that he's given us the correct data set. I know it sounds a bit redundant, right? But when we're working with people who may have, or for sure have not at all any experience with data analytics, with the tables and with machine learning, yeah, it can be a bit difficult for them. So the more redundant means more safe. Yeah, preview of the data, then you select the target variable, which is a column which is supposed to predict. And then, as you can see, it automatically detects the type of a problem, which is here regression, whether it's classification or regression, because those are different algorithms that we tackle. And you select an industry in which this data set takes place. So it's more of a producing type of, context. Yeah, type of a context for the algorithm, because the contexts are pretty different. Say if you're a student who wants to analyze some data set on sports so that he'll be so that it will be easier for him to write an essay. It's totally not the same thing as a person who wants to analyze sales and then convert it into some actions for the business. We're not working with students, but it's just a hypothetical case. Yep. And then you select an LLM. I think now we currently have GPT-4 or also Cohere. And yep. And then how it goes, you select what have to be analyzed. Yep. A PDF is it can be a description of the data set. It can include some relationships between, say, things or some columns. And we have to make sure that this context is taken care of and thought of. Like, as I've mentioned before, when you're automatizing, making something work automatically. Yeah, when you make something work automatically, you have to not act as a human, but act as, say, 100 humans who have done that and think on all the possible ways. And that's a way to take context into consideration. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so those are possible business problems that we can address. And then it goes scavenger it. It does the operations, it performs data cleaning, it performs, say, encoding of the data, for example. I won't go deeper into details, but yeah, it takes some time for sure. It's much faster than if that would be by hand, but still it's not like in a blink of an eye. And those are the possible recommendations that you can see, for example, if you use the dataset in terms of employee efficiency, increasing store size, investing in POC systems, and I mean, you can read them out loud. So the main idea as to how I see that is when you have some data, when you have some data, and when you are the person who have been working with it or have been filling those tables or have been, I don't know, just containing and creating and improving this data for the whole time, it may not be very easy or straightforward for the person who did that to understand what can be done to improve and to answer this question, which we're trying to answer with the scavenger. Rather than looking from it from statistics point of view and looking from it as say, an outsider who has this automatic algorithm that tackles the problem, we can give insights which the person or the company have not really thought of, just because their eyes could be a bit, say, foggy from working with that for too long, or even saving them time if they have already thought of it and they need just a justification that what they thought of is a relevant idea of what they can do. Yep. If you're, I mean, read the recommendations, that'd be cool. That gives an idea on what you can do. Specifically, yeah, if you evaluate management, I think that's a relevant advice for everything. Let me just, yeah. The next part is that you're chatting with the data, which is also very cool. It's like you're chatting as if, I don't know, as if you were chatting with the person who read this and he's kind of explaining to you what has happened or what's written there. It saves time. Yeah, the main idea is to enhance. The shorter, the better. The less time it consumes, the better. Yeah. Sorry for long chatting. Yeah. So you're kind of presenting the question that you want to this data to answer, this data to answer. And here we do use a generative large language model approach so that you can analyze what's going on, what's the question that the user possesses, and also take care of the context which has been derived from the dataset presented, also the statistics of the dataset presented, and some ideas on machine learning performance, on, say, regression training. And yeah, as you can see here, it's not only answering the question, say, from a general point of view, like if you could have asked ChatGPT to do something, right? It really addresses the data set provided, and it addresses the data. So it's not general knowledge, but it's knowledge derived from what you have given to Scavenger and from the data set that you have presented to us. Say you have a positive coefficient indicating that the management is associated with higher profits, while Texiera has negative significant coefficient. Yeah, and those coefficients are derived by machine learning and basically regression training to understand the weights of a linear regression evaluation. Yeah. The demo is 1 more minute, and later we'll speak more on the use cases, on the basic use cases that I think are life happening. Yeah. Here you can see all the data overview and statistic. Yep, let me just stop. I think if you've worked with ML, you know what is a correlation matrix. You can see some positive correlation, some negative correlation. It kind of tells us how the variables are connected among each other. And those are not the parts that you can see with the bare eye by opening an Excel sheet, right? And those outcomes are also taken in consideration. Yeah, those say, yep, let me just scroll a bit down. I'll catch this image. Yep. I almost catch this image. Yeah, so that's another part of visualization of the data that has been provided. And it may give also some understanding for the user, what goes on, and it definitely goes into the context for answering the questions for when you're chatting with the data. Here are the results for different machine learning algorithms. As you can see, there are accuracies, there are adjusted R-squared, mean squared errors, and all that. By the first look, if you have nothing to do with data science, yeah, that may not give you anything useful. But at the same time, it gives the information to a person who at least knows what is a squared error, and the understanding that, yeah, all those models are pretty similar in their nature, but it kind of gives the output of prediction for the particular variable chosen. Yeah. And so those are the results for the best performing model. And you can see that, well, maybe if you're trying to predict some variable from the data set, it may be working well with the data, it may not be working well. So it also gives feedback, and it gives the understanding of what we're working with. Say, if you choose some variable to be predicted, and after careful processing, it gives you the output that the accuracy is still not really well. You may understand that there are other things depending on the data set. You either have to do more, have to collect more features from what you have in the business, or, for example, there are some things that you haven't, say, calculated or haven't included, and those are either not calculated at all, or you'll be able to do. A practical example for that understanding can be, say, if you have a data set with say, linen shirts, where you have as independent variables the length of the shirt, the material from which the shirt is made, the number of buttons on the shirt, the color, of course, the price, and then you have, say, whether a person entering the shop has bought the shirt or not. You seem to be considering all the variables. You seem to be considering everything that you have in control, right, about the shirt. But you're not considering whether the shirt fits the person who has entered, and you won't be able to do that on your own. So that kind of still gives the feedback and gives the understanding. Yeah. Those are the percentages that are used. It may give something. It may not give something for you, because sorry, for the scrolling. Yeah, but see, here's an answer whether some variable name is significant or not. And as you can see, based on the coefficients derived, you can see that those are not significant, right? The same thing can go with different data sets. And I think you all have ideas of practical examples where some variables are collected, which are given, say, interest of, but they are not, unfortunately, important. Yeah. Yep, this gives the quality of the linear regression model. And as you can see, the data that has been given here as an example is pretty linearly predictive, which is not a common case, but for simple data sets, that's pretty common. Surprisingly, yes, it works it works most of the times, or with adjustment most of the times regarding of the data set. But yeah, surprisingly, if we think that we're tackling with I'd say data analysis only complex problems, or only problems that are very difficult to look at, most of the times the simpler the better. It's a surprise, right? And the the easier it is to understand something, the easier it is to fix something and to see how things are related, which say comes with linear regression. And to my experience, many data sets work well with linear regression if fitted perfect, if fit well, if tailored well, if cleaned well, and all that. Yeah. So those are, say, regression table giving you all the information that, yeah, it was the ordinary least squares model, and those are the errors, and it looks like a check after you bought something, which is indeed a check. It kind of gives all the information on the product and all those possible errors and notes, which to me, I think is a great thing because, yeah. I think that's the end of the demo. And let me just go further with the presentation. Blah, blah, blah. It should be visible now. Yeah, as you have seen already at the demonstration, you go to landing page, you drag and drop any data, and then you ask a question. That's how it works. Yeah, as you can see, the recommendations are pretty good. And it may seem that something is simple to understand, but when I started working with Scavenger, it turned out that some simple outcomes are most of the time very difficult to produce because you have to consider all the possible errors. You have to consider all the possible, I don't know, not problems, but say issues with what you're doing. So something that looks nice and simple and works well is indeed in its nature pretty complex in terms of addressing the problem, right? So it gives you the summary of the data. It gives you any statistical illustrations and all those industry-specific recommendations. The part with choosing an industry is pretty straightforward and important. And it also does visualization for you, which is good. And as you can see, looking into data, looking into what can be done with this data, it does provide value. The value provided provides money, and that's why it's useful for the business. Yep, that's our team. That's Maximilian and Felix and Martin. And yep, that's me. That's good that my image wasn't, say, wide enough, but it used to be a bit wider. Yep, so I'm not an outsider here. I'm here almost next to Lucas. Yeah, never mind. If you have any questions, I don't have anything to say basically about Scavenger, but I have some thoughts on the use cases as I've proposed on the use cases for generative language models and for AI usage that to me are straightforward, interesting, and can be looked into. And say, yep. I don't know if maybe now we should look into the questions if there are any regarding Scavenger, and I'll look deeper into use cases after those questions, because maybe some of my answers will be derived from those. I think, no, we don't have anything in the chat, but if someone wants to ask something, please let me know. I'd be very much happy to answer. Yeah. Regarding for use cases, what I have thought of is that currently with the development of AI, we are trying to run after the rabbit in a way. All those huge companies are trying to catch something which is a bit unquotable. It's like we're doing more and more, and then when we do it more and more and faster and faster. So the thing we value in Scavenger, and I personally value, is that we can provide something that will work and something that will work well for the business, apart from just using everything fastest, everything, say the most the newest, yeah, everything newest. We try to do that in a reliable way, and I think that it should be done also in addressing many use cases, for example, for the future. Yep. For example, what I have thought of that can be a use case for generative language model. Say you have, say the idea of a business to create a personal ad that will show on the landing page of your shop, of your e-commerce shop. So it is an analysis of customer data indeed, and it is an analysis using machine learning, using all the data sets, all the clicks, all the purchases, all the viewed products. Yeah, of course, this data is anonymized, but at the same time, it's still a lot of data which you can use to derive some insights into that. You can predict sales, right? If you look at a million of users trying to do something from their notebook when they access your website, or at the same time, you can give your UX designers an idea where to put the most important buttons, depending on how often some people access some points and all that. Like if you, for example, see that nobody opens anything which is on the left of the website, you should probably change the design, or you should probably not put anything important there. So I think anything digital currently, like whether you have to optimize your supply chain or something like that, or I don't know, how well to monitor demand, which shops to give more funding to, or better design, or I don't know, how you can even optimize onboarding for the new company workers. That can be a use for generative AI. However, there are some cases which it's just a bit redundant, right? I think from my experience, a bit of a, how to say, it's not a mistake, but it's like, I don't know, hitting a, I forgot the word, sorry. Like using more complex tools to address simpler tasks. You don't need generative AI and you don't need ChatGPT for all your things. As I've mentioned, supply chain optimization, that's not a really good example, because you can use real algorithms like Jigsaw algorithm, or some simpler algorithms depending on the program, on the task, that do not need to be AI related. For example, if you have, say, ambulance workers who have to fill up their forms with tedious forms, and since they do have many common illnesses that they tackle in their daily life, you don't need to have ChatGPT working with them and asking, well, what are the symptoms? What is that? Because that probably won't save a lot of time. You need to have, say, a simpler algorithm which allows them to put normal words into their forms, like flu or temperature or cough or something like that, so that it would save them time, and they would be able to rest, maybe, because healthcare workers do need more rest, or they'll be able to help more people. And yeah, but for example, if you need to insert data and chat with it, or understand how something works based on the PDF that you've provided without reading those, say, 500 pages or 1,000 pages, and analyzing all the shortcomings of your Excel sheet, and checking whether, say, sale in the shop A is greater than sale in the shop B, derived from those 100 rows. Yeah, you'll probably need something AI related to that. That's basically what we do. Yeah, and to me, there is a bit of magic in handling those tedious, boring tasks, and creating something that will be able to do that in a minute, or in 2 minutes, or even in 3 minutes. It's still much faster than you would normally do it. Yeah. And I have also thought, maybe for the listener, I hope it will be interesting to, I don't know, not to discuss here since it's a webinar, and it may be a bit complicated to have a real discussion, but later, when you think of all the possible cases where AI should be used and should not be used, like, to me, I think Scavenger is a good thing for, say, optimizing a bunch of texts and extracting main information and working with data and analyzing it. Say, as I've mentioned, the problem of onboarding, right? When you have a new person coming into the company, and instead of giving him five, I don't know, 5 days or 2 weeks to read all those texts, and then do something with that, it would be a great idea for them to optimize the performance so that they'd be able to jump into the production a bit faster. Or maybe you've hired someone who has to do something now. For example, that's a great idea, right? But at the same time, currently, I think the development of AI, not all AI, but I think most of it, for rather a great bunch of people, I assume that having some sensitive lawyer data fed to the I don't know, ChatGPT related model is not the thing that they may not be able to do, but the thing they may not want to do. However, in terms of safety, we're addressing those issues, like we are handling personal data with much care. And as to me, I think it's very important to provide safe sources that are not only working, but are working safely and reliably. Yeah. And for example, yeah, as to me, in terms of the future AI development, I'd rather have a person do a painting, even though we have those cool AI programs like DALL-E and Midjourney who do paintings much better than I do, to be honest. And I'll never be able to do something like that. But I'd rather have some AI system, AI program, do something useful, but not very fun to me, like wash dishes and mop floors, or help with a lot of data to understand it so that I'll save time and I don't know, live a better life. And I know that I'm saying pretty simple words in terms of like, yeah, live a better life. But that's what I envy and that's what I fancy, is that we can use generative AI specifically as the conversation we're having now to help with tasks that are not, say, a fun way to live a person's life. Even though, to be honest, I do love tables, but not everyone loves tables as much as I do, and I pretty much understand it. Yeah, that's it, I think. I can also speak about, say, examples that I know of AI use cases which I like, and show you the demo. I don't know if that may interest anyone, or please let me know if you have some topics derived from what I've said that you'd be more keen on to discuss. Yeah. Okay. Is there anyone? Never. Okay. Is there? Yeah. Because please let me know if I haven't addressed something which was supposed to be a part of the conversation, and I do my best to answer it profoundly.
I don't think we have any questions either.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you don't have to have any questions. Maybe someone wants to discuss something interesting. Okay, if nobody wants to discuss anything interesting, I can speak what interests me. And what interests me is, yeah, I can just, yeah, I can just scroll to that part. What interests me is not only doing what I do currently, but since I'm discussing it with assume people who are interested in AI, since you're here in this webinar, yeah, I think that would be really cool if what we do with AI and what we do with machine learning would work for better, apart from just working for improving what is already done. Like, yeah, I do like that, as I've already mentioned, AI is better and better at addressing drawing tasks. But to me, I think it would be more important that AI would be able to help people instead of replacing them, and say deep dive into healthcare and save time, right? Instead of taking something interesting from people like drawing, it would save time. And in Scavenger, it does save time to businesses, and it does improve their business processes. And that's what makes me happy, is that I'm taking a part in that, instead of just not doing it. And it does make me happy. For example, we have, say, virtual assistants in AI, which are helping all businesses and reducing, I don't know, unnecessary, say, hospital visits, right, as in healthcare, or chatbots which are helping to businesses address a lot of customers which they are calling to and asking questions and all that. And most questions, I think, are pretty tedious, right? So that's the room for improvement. That's where AI can and should be used. I remember there's a great business called iRobot. They've developed a Roomba pretty long ago, which is an automatic floor cleaner. And I think that is, and they do use AI systems. They do use AI, as I remember, AI to scan the room size, to address the visuals of what they have to clean and all that. And that's also a great example. One example for what we currently do is, say, that you have a business who, let me think, who has a lot of textual data, and you have to mark some text with appropriate wordings, and you have to analyze the text and say, rank it like, like a book, how to say, book reviewer. Assume you want to design a system which does book reviews, where you can insert some pre-generated knowledge, context knowledge, right, into the system, which would later be able to determine whether some book is good and whether some people will be happy to read it or not. Because as I know, many publishing agencies, many book publishing agencies, they do have a huge workload, because with the growing technologies, people from all over the world can send you their books, can send you their hand copies of their books, so that it can be time consuming to detect which book should be published or which not. And I think that's also a tedious task that AI can do, is say, you'll be able to insert this PDF copy of your book, and then after some careful analysis, of course, it's much more complicated than I'm explaining, the system would be able to give you an idea whether this book should be published or not. And that's the similar thing that we do. I've described it in pretty vague terms, and we're not doing anything for the book publishers yet. I'd be happy to access some hand copies of, say, my favorite novelists. Yeah, that'd be nice. But that's the idea of currently what can be done and what has a room for doing it. And I think there is indeed a use case that we can discuss. What interests me also is, say, use cases of generative AI, apart from just chatbots, even though chatbots have been developed pretty long ago. The state of the development they are now at is more like art, and we are closer and closer to passing the Turing test, where we'll address that, okay, it was a computer indeed, not a person, and we thought that it was a person. So I think addressing it for business cases is something that not many people do, but they should. Yeah, that was it.
Thank you, Paulina. Thank you for this insightful session. Yeah. And
Yeah.
to everyone who joined.
I hope it was.
Sorry?
I hope it was a bit I don't know, me thinking about all the possible things I could have thought of regarding the topic, and me discussing my thoughts. But I hope it was good. I don't know if it was enough insightful, but I did my best to include what I could in terms of telling about the company, what we do, and what I personally like about it. Yeah.
Now, I'm sure all of us are taking something from this
Mm.
home. So thank you for that. And before everyone leaves, we are eager to hear your feedback on today's session. So please take a moment to fill out our NPS survey. I'm running the poll. There you go. You should be able to see it on your screen.
Should I rank it also? Should I rate it also, my performance? I don't know.
I don't think that's required.
Okay, sure. I think I was like, yeah, I'll be humble. Oh no, I cannot vote. Sorry. It says that organizer and performance cannot vote.
I think people are filling the poll now. I'm going to end it. Yeah. So that's all from us today at A2B Network. So we hope you found this webinar valuable. And again, thank you so much, Paulina, for taking out the time for this.
Yeah. No, it's okay. It was a pleasure. I'm sad that it didn't turn out as me discussing something with people, because that would be interesting for me to understand something which I haven't thought of. And but yeah, later. I think everyone is pretty busy, and I don't know, having this webinar on the background. But anyway, I hope some words were relevant or at least
I'm sure.
interesting. And yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So,
Bye.
thank you for inviting us, and wish everyone a lovely day.
To you too. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye bye.